passion fruits, it's your girl VH with another video. One of our passion fruits named... Lucky is excited, sorry. One of our passion fruits named Sharon Dale asked me to prepare barn owl food on camera for a 3 to 4 week old barn owl. So that's what we're gonna do today. Now I do want to make 2 videos out of this because there's a difference between a 3-week-old barn owl and a 4-week-old barn owl. First of all, owlets are not able to produce pellets, to make pellets, until they are 21 days old. So if you didn't know this yet, owls can't digest the hair and the bones of their prey, so they regurgitate it in the form of a pellet. Now, they aren't able to do that until they are 21 days old. So until they are 21 days old, you cannot give them any bones or any hair. So what are you going to feed them? Well, something I also want to mention is there's a difference between feeding an adult barn owl or an owlet, you know, a baby barn owl. Until your barn owl is adult, you're going to give it mainly mice, rats, baby rats, and then in addition to that, you're going to give it one-day-old chicks. When your barn owl is adult, however, it's going to be vice versa. When your barn owl is adult, you're gonna feed it mainly one-day-old chicks, and then mice and rats, baby mice, baby rats, in addition to that. So I give Lucky one-day-old chicks every day, and then in winter, as a power food, as kind of a supplement, I will give her baby mice, baby rats, a rat on occasion, an adult mouse on occasion. Now let me tell you why this is done that way. Mice and rats and baby mice and baby rats contain way more protein and essential vitamins and minerals than one-day-old chicks do. And if you want your owlet to grow up to become a strong owl with strong bones and a strong immune system, then you need to give it as much power food as you can when it's growing up. If you'll give it mainly one-day-old chicks, it's going to survive probably, but it's gonna become a weaker owl when it's adult, and it might become sick more easily. It might have a weak immune system or weak bones, so if it would have an accident, it would maybe break something more easily, stuff like that. Now, like I said, you cannot give your owlet bones or hair as long as it's not 21 days old, because before that time your owlet cannot make pellets yet. So how are you going to feed it then? What are you going to give it? Like I said, you're going to give it baby mice, baby rats, and adult mice mainly, and then in addition to that, one-day-old chicks. But you're not going to give them whole. You're not just gonna throw a mouse at your owl. No. What are you gonna do? Every night before you go to sleep, you're going to grab an amount of mice, baby rats, one-day-old chicks out of your freezer, and you're going to let them thaw. The next day, when everything has thawed, you're going to cut them up, but you're going to remove the bones and the hair and the organs. So you're going to give your owlet the organs of the mice, baby rats, one-day-old chicks, and the flesh that is stripped of bones and hair. So your owlet, until it is 21 days old, can only eat the raw meat and organs of the baby mice, baby rats, adult mice, adult rats, and one-day-old chicks. After 21 days, you can start to incorporate a bit of bones and hair slowly. I wouldn't be like, okay, it's day 21 now I'm gonna give you bones and hair, and No, do it slowly. Start to incorporate small pieces of bones and little pieces of hair into your owl's diet, and so that it gets a chance to build it up, you know. Every owl is different. Maybe your owl will only start to create pellets after 23 days. So that's why I'm saying be careful. Do it slowly, do it gradually. The reason I also want to make a difference between feeding a 3-week-old barn owl and a 4-week-old barn owl is because every week your owl grows bigger, you're gonna make the pieces of meat you give it also a bit bigger. And for me, there's a big difference between a 3-week-old barn owl or a 4-week-old barn owl, you know? So this video will be about how to feed a 3-week-old barn owl. Now, Sharon asked me to cut up a mouse, but I don't have any mice in my freezer for the moment. I do have baby mice and baby rats and one-day-old chicks, but not adult mice. Now, I'm gonna cut up a one-day-old chick for you guys, but the principle is just the same. I've already de-yolked the one-day-old chick. Now, mice don't contain a yolk, so you won't have to de-yolk your mouse, so don't worry about that. But the principle, besides the de-yolking, the principle is exactly the same. You're gonna cut up the tummy of the mouse or the one-day-old chick, and you're going to pick out with your fingers, with a scissors, with a small tweezer, you're gonna pick out the organs. Those are really nutritious and important. And then you're going to cut off the flesh. I usually just cut it off the bones, you know, and I try to avoid the hair. It's a very tedious job, and it feels like you're wasting a lot of meat. Like, you can't give the head of the one-day-old chick because it's bone, it's all bone. You can't give the legs of the one-day-old chicks because it's all bone, and the claws, you shouldn't give the claws until your barn owl has been making a lot of pellets, you know, the talons, the little claws, the little nails of the one-day-old chick. You know, the little nails of the one-day-old chick, I wouldn't give that right away because they're really sharp, and your owl might choke in it. So that's for a very late stage, you know. So especially in the beginning, you're gonna feel like you have to throw away a lot, and that's normal. Sorry, someone called me. So in the beginning, you're gonna feel like you have to throw away a lot of food, and this is normal, but it's inevitable. You have no other choice. It sucks, I know, because I don't know about where you live, but here in Belgium, feeding and raising an owlet is really expensive, because the one-day-old chicks are not expensive. But like I said, you're gonna mainly give it mice, mice, baby rats in the beginning, and those are really expensive here in Belgium. And owlets eat a lot. You have to feed them, especially in the beginning, you have to feed them like 6 to 8 or 12 times a day. So yeah, it sucks that you have to throw away a lot of food, but you have no other choice. This is how it is, so deal with it. Okay, let's get into the video. I will cut open the tummy of the one-day-old chick, and then I'll show you guys from up close how I remove the organs and the flesh from the bones. And I will make 2 piles. One pile will be the non-edible stuff, and the other pile will be the stuff that I give to my owlet. Okay, so this is what a one-day-old chick looks like. Here's one wing of the chick, and there's the second wing. Now I've already de-yolked the chick, and you do that by ripping open the skin near the anus of the chick. So if you see yellow stuff between the chick's legs, then you know that that's where the yolk came out. Now a mouse obviously doesn't have wings, but I did tell you guys that you're gonna give one-day-old chicks, in addition to the mice and rats, so I should mention that you're not gonna use the wings of the chick. If you feel the wings, you'll notice that they almost don't contain any flesh. Try it out. If you take the wings between your thumb and index finger, you can only feel hair and bones, so leave the wings for what they are. You're not gonna get any meat off of them. Now you're gonna cut or rip open the chick while it's laying on its back. I do this by just grabbing the skin where I pulled out the yolk and pulling it. And I don't know if you can see, but as I was tearing the chick open, there was hair of the chick sticking to my fingers, so I actually went to the kitchen to wash it off of my fingers in order to prevent the hair from sticking to the organs I was going to pull out of the chick. But I cut that part out, obviously. I just thought you should know. I'm really opening up the belly and chest of the chick as wide as I can to make it easier to access any organs and flesh. If you keep pulling the sides of the chick, you'll notice that the furry skin will come off pretty easily. So this is what we need, the inside. If you keep pulling the sides of the chick, you'll notice that the furry skin will come off pretty easily. So yeah, this is the part where I show you that there's fur sticking to my fingers, so I went to the kitchen and washed my hands. So you're not gonna give the head of the chick because it's all bone. See these little nails here? You're not gonna give that either, and you're also not gonna give the bony part of the chick's legs. So the part that's not covered in fur is the part you're just gonna ignore. I'm ripping the chick further open so its throat is exposed because there is meat and organs to be harvested from there as well. Not a lot, but it's worth it. And now you're just gonna pull out or cut out, whatever you prefer, the organs that are most obvious. So I start out with the largest organs. I do have to mention that before I cut off an organ or piece of meat, I always feel with my fingers if there are any bones present in that part. You can always feel it if there are bones in it, and you should always double check. So here's a piece for the baby barn owl to eat. I don't know what organs these are exactly, but I feel like these are 3 organs still attached to each other and a little piece of bowel. So we're gonna put that in the edible pile or pot. And here are our next parts of edible meat. They're super tiny. I told you it was a tedious job, but you gotta do it for your baby owl. It was really hard to do this on camera. I tried to hold the chick in the right angle, and I feel like it was hard to remove all of the edible parts on camera without covering everything with my hands and fingers all of the time, but I tried my best. So you're basically going to expose the chick's guts by pushing it more open so you can pull out other organs. Here's another tiny piece of organ I pulled out. And here I'm pulling out the guts or intestines or bowels, or how do you say that in English? Those are definitely very edible too. And you can see I'm struggling to find the camera here. So that's going into the edible pot as well. And the stringy bloody mess you see here is also another piece of intestine. See how I'm kind of popping open the chick to reveal more organs? When the easy part is done and most of the organs that were easily accessible are taken out, I just cut the flesh off of the bones. Now here's the throat of the chick. You're not going to use the bony part, but there is flesh around it and also muscle and tendon that you can cut or pull out. See, here I'm separating the bony part from the meat. This is the part you shouldn't use because if you're gonna do this yourself, then you'll feel what I'm talking about. It's the meat next to this part that I'm actually holding in between my fingers that you're gonna use. Just to be clear, I'm holding the edible part with the hand on which I'm carrying my watch. Now I'm pulling the furry skin off the chick's leg and then I'll cut the flesh from the bones. So I'm feeling the leg with my fingers to feel where the bone ends and where the edible meaty part starts. So now I've just pulled off the piece of the leg of which I told you shouldn't use it, but there's still a string attached to it that's actually just meat, and so we're gonna cut it off and put it in our edible pot. We're gonna keep tearing this chick apart, and as you can see, we're really stripping this chick naked to make sure we get all of the edible parts. I realize I do look really bad at this right now, but that's because I'm looking at the screen of my computer the whole time to make sure I'm staying in the recording zone. I'm normally way faster and less clumsy. So the part that is the fullest is unfortunately the non-edible part. This is the part with the edible parts. Okay guys, that was me getting up the 1 day old chick for a 3 week old barn owl. Now I do have to say you can make the pieces a bit bigger because the size of the pieces was also good for a 1 week or 2 week old barn owl. You know, one day old chick or mouse may have more meat to it than the other one, so sometimes it's gonna be easier to make larger chunks for your owl than other days. Just wanted to say that you can make the chunks a bit bigger if your owlet is already 3 weeks old. So that was me cutting up a 1 day old chick for a 1 to 3 week old barn owl. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you're going to feed your owlet mainly mice, baby rats, and then in addition 1 day old chicks. But the principle is the same. I would cut open the belly and then strip off the skin and get out the organs and the boneless and hairless meat. Some days you'll have bigger mice than others, and it might be easier to make the pieces of meat a bit bigger, because I made the pieces of meat super tiny in this video, so the size of the pieces of meat in this video were ideal for even a 1 week old barn owl. A 3 week old barn owl you may give it larger chunks of meat, but you know, sometimes it's not easy to cut off larger chunks of meat if they can't contain any hair or bones yet. But that's okay. So this is how you would cut up your meat for a 1 to 3 week old barn owl owlet, or for a 3 week old barn owl, like just in the beginning of the 3rd week. Because yes, a 3 week old barn owl is technically 21 days old and should technically start producing pellets, but you know, your owlet might start to do it after only 24 days or 25 days. So the first few days of the 3rd week, I wouldn't really give it any bones or hair yet. Maybe in the second half of the 3rd week, I would start to incorporate very small pieces of bone and a few pieces of hair and just see how it goes. But don't overdo it, because you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. So in the next video, I'll show you how to do that. I'll show you how to incorporate just a bit of bones and hair. I feel like it speaks for itself, but who am I? So I'll make another video about that, and then in the video after that, I'll show you guys what to feed a 4 week old barn owl, owlet, baby owl, whatever. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was very bloody, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys! VH is out!